Want to live longer? Retire early. This one came across my feed by, I think, a frequent contributor to the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel from Forbes, an article recently from Forbes, which I thought was interesting because I had another article, maybe it's a different guy, but someone sent it to me that said, want to live longer, work longer, because they looked at the history of people who worked until they're 70 and they had a longer life expectancy than people who stopped working at 62. I guess a lot of people fall for that. They said, oh, if I work till 70, I have a longer life expectancy. Has nothing to do with your work. It has to do with that you survived until 70. So I kind of chuckled at that. But let's take a look at what this guy says. Jonathan Look Jr., he writes about retirement, travel, and living a happy life overseas. And he says, want to live longer, retire early. I haven't read this, so I thought it'd be interesting to share with you and see what old Jonathan Look says here. All right, so we see, is that him? Yeah, the author and his partner. There we go. Cool. So I like seeing pictures of, instead of just stock photos, I like seeing photos of real people. The author and his partner are after climbing to Tiger's Nest Monastery in Bhutan. Never been there. I will never be there. Has no appeal to me at all, but more to him. We've all seen, Dateline, what was this? I think, yeah, July 8th, just the other day, man. So we've all seen it happen. A good friend, family member, or someone we work with finally reaches retirement day and drops dead seemingly almost as soon as he retired. Year after year, while others around him were retiring younger, this meticulous planner kept on plugging away. With laser-like focus, he buried himself into his work and kept toiling while his younger associates moved on to their newer phases in life. He, the responsible one, kept on laboring even while his most precious asset, time, kept ticking past. Now, with only a few precious years in retirement under his belt, he is gone. At her funeral, people talked about how the dearly departed feared she would be bored if she retired. Her friends remember how she was stubbornly hanging on to her salary just to make one more large purchase or to pay off some consumer debt. Now, even though she was careful to dot her I's and cross her T's on her retirement plan, it's clear she forgot about one thing. We all come with an expiration date, man. It's 100% right. According to a recent study in the Journal of Health and Economics, public sector employees in Holland who took early retirement had a 42% lower 5-year mortality rate than those who continued working into their 60s. I have a hard time. So if you took a early retirement rate, you had a lower 5-year mortality rate. Okay, so you die. There's less of a chance of you dying within 5 years than those who continue to work until their 60s. In another study, Dr. Sing Lin studied how many pension fund checks were sent out to Boeing retirees. He found that on average, employees retiring at age of 65 received pension checks only for 18 months before their death. The workers who retired 10 years earlier at age 55 continued to receive checks in their 70s and 80s. I'd want to dive. There could be a whole lot of reasons for that for sure, but as we sit here today, I would think one of the reasons that if you're retiring at age 65, the reason you did not retire before that is probably because you have some significant health issues that you got to deal with, and you got to stay on the employer group plan, and there's no Medicare kicking in. So now the minute 65 rolls around, you're getting off your employer, you're going to retire because now you can say, I got at least 2 more years of living, or in this case, 18 months. So I'm going to go ahead and enjoy those 18 months while I can, while Medicare is there. This is the argument, by the way, of single payer. I mean, I don't like it because it is rationing. It limits your freedom exclusively. But this is the argument that says, look, why should you have to stay at your crappy old job only for benefits? This is the whole issue why us on the free market libertarian right say healthcare should never be tied up to your employer. It's nuts. It literally is debilitating. It keeps you at work in the chains of your employer because you can't find alternative health insurance. That's a fact. Now, I will tell you, which is why most common sense libertarians say, look, we're going to have a public option of some sort where we provide subsidies for people who can't get health insurance on their own because of pre-existing conditions. No one is going to sit here and say, oh, no, no one's going to sit there and say, nope, you're on your own. Sorry, you're going to be sick in your house. We're just not going to do that as a society. We're not. So stop this. Oh, you want Paul, you see Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell want to steal your Medicare and your Social Security. Just stop with that already. And then the libertarians stop this idea that we're going to have some Ayn Rand kind of society. It's just not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen over here. It's not going to happen over there. There is a middle ground that can be achieved. And this is the argument in favor of single payer. I don't like single payer. I'd much rather say, look, If you're 55 and you got an illness where you can't get private insurance, we're going to have a public option for you. It's going to cost more for sure than me, who doesn't smoke and do work out. Well, except for I don't have Splinty on, but except for my old rotator cuff. But that's the way it should be. I mean, you're going to use the system where you got to pay more. I don't have any qualm with that. And then if you can't afford it, we're going to have the government provide you some kind of benefit off the taxpayer dollar. I got no problem with that. None whatsoever. This right here, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm surprised this guy didn't figure this out. The reason people retire at age 65 and only receive 18 months of pensions checks before the death is because they had to stay at work until Medicare kicked in. That means they weren't healthy. Had nothing to do with working longer. It had to do with the fact that that's what the health insurance system is in the United States. If you're 55 and you're sickly, you're not leaving work because you've got to have health insurance. You have 18 months of COBRA, and then what? Hey, this data backs up additional studies conducted in England, Israel, Germany, and other European countries that demonstrate that there's a substantial health benefit to retiring early. One study in the U.S. found that 7 additional years of retirement can be as good for your health as proactively reducing your risk of serious diseases such as heart condition or diabetes. Not all the science is in, and other studies contradict these findings. Martin Seligman, in his book Helplessness on Depression, Development, and Death, talks about studies that show men who traded corporate jobs for a life of leisure lived significantly shorter lives than those who continued working or took up other productive second act jobs. And this goes back to what my man Roth up in Canada has sent me about. If you work longer, you live longer. The same thing here. I mean, it's just if you work longer, you're not going to go to that leisure life of just. I'm telling you, man, I've seen it with my own eyes. Men say, I got $1 million, I'm 62, I'm getting out of here. And then they get angry, they get fat, they get angry, they get diabetes, and they just get bored and they don't have a mission anymore. And it slowly just decays them. And then they get health issues and they're gone. I've seen it. The theory being that humans need challenges to feel self-worth and keep up their self-esteem. I know that for a fact with men. I know that for a fact. Without stimulation of work or something approximating work, people grow depressed and let themselves go, which inevitably leads to a decline in health and vitality. 100% agree with that. I'm aware that there's a danger in conflating seemingly contradictory studies. However, my direct experience taking early retirement, taking on new projects, and having experiences I never would have had if I had kept working has made me feel like a new person. To me, it was essential to retire while I was still in good health and have the energy and drive to take on other projects. It's not that I didn't enjoy my work. I just wanted to try something different. And that goes back to what Rick Edelman says, and I don't necessarily agree with his huge approach on this, but I think there is some semblance of sense in here. As he says, look, you're probably going to have 3 or 4 careers. You're going to live to your 150. So the generations coming up now are probably going to have 3 or 4 different careers. So the education, the learning never stops. I don't think we're going to be living 150, but I do think, it's like the lady Jane. She worked in one field for 20 years, worked in nursing for another 20 years. I mean, I think that's going to be more and more likely. You work in one field for 20 and something else for 20. And I just think it's good for your soul. It's good for your brain, your noggin to try different things. And meeting hundreds of other active retirees over the years, I have found that what makes for a happy retirement is getting out of your comfort zones, taking time to expand your universe, and taking on new and exciting challenges. Reading between the lines, it seems logical that people who retire at any age without a plan for their time get bored to death. Literally. 100% agree with that. They derive their self-worth and most of their social interaction at work and never developed other interests. Now that they're retired, they get depressed, don't have the energy to learn new things or have new experiences, and their health declines. I'm not a scientist or anything like that. I'm just a guy who retired at 50 and feels like he wants to live forever. Retirement gave me the freedom to be location independent at the time to pursue my dreams of seeing the world. The extra time has given me flexibility to develop new interests and find skills that I didn't know I had. All lives are raised against time. In the end, time always wins. I agree. If you're considering or being forced in retirement, you need to remember that you are not your job. Man, 100% agree with that. To have a successful retirement, leave the office behind and concentrate on other facets of your identity. If all your interests and most of your social interactions revolve around work, develop new relationships and use your newfound freedom in productive ways. You aren't retiring from life, you're just entering a new phase of life. And I completely agree with that. So good job. And he said he took his retirement in 2011, sold everything he owned and began traveling the world. But before that, he worked a relatively ordinary American life. But at the age of 50, he found himself surrounded by possessions, but longing for adventure. I wouldn't call myself a minimalist, but I've discovered that time is our most valuable asset. And it looks like he currently lives in the Mediterranean country of Malta with his partner Sarah and our feisty rescue dog. Look, I got no why 100 young women are lobbying Congress. Oh boy, I get no problem with that. I wonder if he's got kids, because if you have kids, you're not doing that because you want to be around your kids and grandkids in particular. But hey, whatever, man. More power to him. I get no problem with that. I find it kind of interesting. These people write these articles, and I always wonder those who do, if they have kids. Like, there's a couple guys I follow on YouTube I like, but they don't have kids, right? So it's like it's one thing if you don't have children. But I'm telling you, what does a grandparent want to do? He wants to be around his grandkids. And that's all there is. So I talked to my wife last night. It's like, man, we should have another baby. I was just kind of saying it facetiously because due to modern technology, it can't happen, if you know what I'm saying. But the idea of holding a bouncing baby in my hands, I miss it, man. Something wicked. But then I said, yeah, I'm looking at grandkids for that, because holding a bouncing baby, when they start stinking up, you give it over to your daughter or son and say, here you go, boys. Here you go, girls. Take care of old stinky butt here. And then you can hold a bouncing baby again. How awesome is that? I can't wait. So anyway, all good. I love it. I think it's 100% spot on. You got to find something. If you're a man, you need to find something to keep you motivated, without question, because you need to have some reason to exist. And playing golf, look, it might be for you. I have a sneaky suspicion it's not going to be enough. You're going to need more. All right, smash, subscribe. We'll see you next time.